Hi guys, just checking in to make sure that your prep is going well for the December SAT on Saturday. And I wanted to make sure that in addition to prepping the content of the SAT, you're also thinking about your mental game and just prepping so that things go very smoothly and nerves are not an issue for you on Saturday morning. So, to talk about this, I guess timing is maybe one of the most important things that we can discuss that maybe will make you a little bit more calm on the test day. Make sure that you have an analog watch. Those are the ones with hands because they do not allow digital timers. They don't allow digital watches. They will very likely yank it from you if you do bring in a digital watch. So make sure it's analog and make sure that you've practiced with that thing all week so that like when you're at the actual test, you'll be able to recognize the different sections, the different passages on the sections where you should be. For the reading section, which tends to be the biggest time crunch for most students, we know it's a 65-minute section. We know that there should be maybe about 13 minutes per passage for the 5 passages. Make sure that you are sticking to that and maybe checking in at least once on the test. Maybe after section 2 or after section 3, you're checking in with your watch to make sure that you are on target to finish on time. And you'll have to adjust accordingly. So it's not good enough to just know that you need to spend 13 minutes. You actually have to spend 13 minutes and double check against your watch. That's very, very important to do. For the reading, actual reading of it, about 5 minutes is what we have allotted to do the pre-marking, to maybe read some questions to get the gist of the reading if you'd like to, and to actually read through it for the main idea, the attitude, and the pattern of organization. About 5 minutes is adequate. Now, don't get sucked in. Don't get sucked into these. Oops, bleep bloop. Don't get sucked into these very hard passages, the historical ones that have really older English. Students tend to perhaps spend 6, 7, 8 minutes or even more on those passages, which could be death for your score. So our experience at Prepped over the summer and over the fall has been if the passage is really hard, you can often just skip to the questions with just the most basic of ideas, and you'll be able to solve those questions a lot easier by killing some of the answer choices. So do set a strategy to move on. That takes discipline, and reading high scores happen when students are very disciplined. Other kinds of discipline involve sticking like to the 1 minute rule for questions. For a question, if you don't have the answer after about a minute and you don't feel like you're any closer to the answer, perhaps you've narrowed it down, star something, circle it, and move on. Hopefully you'll come back to it at the end of the passage. If you spend 2, 3, 4 minutes on one question, you are killing your score. So again, discipline. Discipline is really, really important. Self-discipline. You'll set the rules. You set your timing strategy in advance and just stick to it. So you have a consistent pattern that you follow for your practice tests, and you have a consistent pattern when you do your test on Saturday, and things will go very smooth because you'll be very confident doing that same thing that you're used to. So yeah, that's probably what I have to say about timing. Now there's also the mental game, right? The mental game, like how can you kind of just get yourself in the right mood to do very well on Saturday's test? And I think it's very important, number one, to visualize success. You have to actually be able to see that successful score before you're able to achieve it. You have to actually see it to believe it. So just imagine, just kind of think in your mind, coming out of that test center after doing a great job, how good that's going to feel. You maybe go for little treats that you've planned, a little lunch or a little dinner with your friends or parents. Yeah, just think how great you're going to feel after getting that score. That's really important to do. It's also very important to maybe do a power pose right before the test. So we practice that in class, putting your hands on your hips, standing in a very confident manner, and just holding that for about a minute. Very confident power pose to make you feel like you own that room, that testing room. That's your house, and you're going to do a great job there. The science on that, maybe mixed science, but actually there are a couple high-profile studies that kind of attest to the benefits of this position. So please give that a shot. Most importantly, it's very natural for negative thoughts to spring up these kind of feelings of self-doubt, or maybe like, what if I screw up the test? That's a very common one, the what if. What if I mess up this section? It's really important to know that those are entirely unhelpful thoughts to have, and you must shut them down immediately. These thoughts don't do anything for you. Because, sorry for the bleep bloop, think of how irrational they are. Like, even if you do screw up a section, like a writing section, which is tied to your reading, of course, but even if you do, you still can get a great mathematics score. You could still get a great essay score. You could use it for scored choice. You still have that opportunity. So don't think about that too much, about what if I screw up. Even if you mess up a couple questions in the reading section, you can still get a great score. Even if you quite mess up your writing section, but you do good on the reading, together you could have a great score. So don't panic. Just try your best and put that out of your mind, all the what ifs. You got to shut those down. And actually, I have some strategies for that. There's a couple tactics that I often recommend to students to shut down these negative thoughts, and they're called shutdown techniques. One of them is very simple. Just if you hear those voices, just say stop it. Just block those out, shut them down right away. Just say stop it. If you know that they're going to pop up, you just excise those thoughts immediately. So say it in your head. Don't say it out loud, because that would be weird and you might get in trouble. But yeah, do shut them down with such a technique. In the summer, Jung-Yoon was saying that she often says her name to herself. She kind of calls her attention to herself. So I might say, like, Robert, like, focus. And just maybe calling your name to yourself in your head is another way to focus your attention back on the test itself. The 3-second break is something that I like to do when I did my GRE. I used that one. If I felt like I was getting out of the zone that I needed to be in, I just took my pen and I put it down, and I paused for 3 seconds. I said in my head, 1, 2, 3, bam, and I was back into it right away. Just giving yourself that little break sometimes is enough space to kind of refocus. And breathing techniques are maybe another technique that you can use. This kind of meditation breathing. There's actually a lot of science behind breathing. It sounds like it's just like an easy little tactic, but it's very important, because if you do deep breathing techniques, like just maybe even one little breath like that, you're getting oxygen to your brain, you're relaxing your chest, you're relaxing your throat, you're kind of detensing. Those could be very effective. So do give those a shot if you do have excess nerves. Now, nervousness is not a bad thing. It makes you feel very kind of focused and attentive, and it gets you in the mood to kind of to best the enemy that's in front of you. You just have to know how to leverage those feelings to use them as positive energy towards that purpose, rather than having those negative thoughts, because it could spin that way too. But I know that you guys are going to be okay. There's a couple other things that I just thought of. Chocolate's a pretty good thing to have during the test, especially like really dark chocolate, like 70% dark chocolate, which is proven to boost. I guess it doesn't boost anything. I guess it lowers cortisol and epinephrine, which are kind of stress chemicals in your brain. So you might, during the break, not reach for a coffee, because that might give you even more jitters, but reach for a 70% chocolate bar. So pack one of those. And just overall, for me, thinking about it, like what makes me less stressed on the SAT or GRE or whatever test I'm doing is just always be doing something. If you have your mind full of things that you're doing, like you're crossing out answer choices, you're marking up the page, if you're doing something all the time, you don't have that time for the negative thoughts to start to populate and formulate in your brain. So yeah, always be doing something. So those are just a couple brief notes that I thought I would mention to you. If you have any other ideas, please shoot them to me, and I'll pass them on to the rest of the class. And so I'm right out the door right now. I'm sorry about this beeping. Got to restart my computer. So I'm just out the door, like I'm saying. If you're in Korea and you need a place to prep, I'll be there with many of the students from the fall for most of this week, if not all of this week. So please shoot me an email if you'd like to, or a Facebook or whatever, if you'd like to come on down and hang out and prep with us. If you are overseas, then as I've invited you, let's do a Skype. Please shoot me an email. I've been correcting students' essays, all that stuff. So I am totally here for you, and do take me up on this offer. All right, I'll talk to you guys a bit later. Good luck with your prep.